Byengoma Rossette, and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. For those who don't know me, I'm also the chairperson of the steering committee of CCESS. CCESS is the Climate Change and Environmental Security Strategy. It is a privilege to have Makerere University experts in particular, and all of you join us in this workshop on climate change and environmental security at this Ministry of Defense headquarters. I appreciate your taking time off to honor our invitation despite your demanding schedules. Climate change, in particular referring to shifts in temperatures and weather patterns, has historically been by natural phenomena such as volcanic eruptions, variations in Earth's orbits, and solar activity. However, since like the 1760s and 80s, human activity has become the primary driver of climate change. Burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial processes released from greenhouses gases, trapping heat, has been trapping heat in the atmosphere, and all these are causing global warming. And this has been exacerbated by environmental degradation, including deforestation, pollution, resource depletion, which undermines ecosystems. And these are vices which are actually very common here in Uganda. We no longer have forests. The mining has become a problem here. People just go and dig up mountains, leave them as open holes without putting back the environment as was. So Uganda really is heading for the worst if we don't come in and do something about environmental management. Now, climate change and environmental degradation have had profound impacts at all levels. Like globally, rising temperatures have led to melting ice caps, sea levels have risen, extreme weather events like hurricanes and droughts, and of course you've been hearing of floods all over the world. So biodiversity loss is accelerating, with ecosystems struggling to adapt to rapid changes. Food and water security are under threat, affecting millions worldwide. At the national level, Article 209 of the Constitution of Uganda, 1995, as amended, mandates UPDF. Now this is where you come in, to cooperate with the civil authority in emergency situations and in times of natural disasters. The National Environment Act 2019 and the National Climate Change Act 2021 require all of government to take specific actions to address environmental and climate change challenges.
I'm Major General Donna Awasa. I'm the Joint Staff Policy and Strategy, but I'm here to represent the Chief of Joint Staff, Uganda People Defense Forces, who could not be with us due to other unavoidable circumstances. The UPDF has consistently demonstrated unwavering commitment to protecting the sovereignty, peace, and stability of Uganda. However, contemporary security threats have evolved and are no longer limited to traditional military confrontations alone. The impact of climate change and environmental degradation have emerged as a critical non-traditional threat that directly impacts national security, destabilize the economy, and escalate climate-induced migrations. Allow me to observe that over the 60 years, at least 40% of all interstate conflicts have been linked to natural resources, from contributing to the outbreak and perpetuation of violence to undermining prospects for peace. Although they are rarely the only factors driving tensions, they interact with social fault lines such as ethnic, religious, political divisions, socioeconomic discrimination, and marginalization. Moreover, the military conducts operations across 4 dimensions that include land, water, air, and space. Safeguarding these domains from degradation and damage is crucial for ensuring national security.
The climate change and environmental security strategy that is being formulated by the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, where I happen to be the chairman of the technical committee, is very important. And first of all, it's in line with the requirements, both on the international levels. We have the 2030 agenda of the Sustainable Development Goals. We have our own Vision 2040 as a country. We also have the constitutional mandate that requires us as UPDF to support civil authority in cases of emergencies. And most of the emergencies we have had in this country, apart from the outbreaks of diseases, are as a result of environmental issues, the floods, the landslides, the mudslides, droughts, and the others. So based on that, it's only right that we do the right thing. And for us as UPDF, it's not that we are starting today. As UPDF, we have always been in the forefront because every year during our Army Week, we plant quite thousands of trees for purposes of keeping the environment clean. We also support bodies, agencies that the government has put in place, like National Environmental Management Authority, Uganda Wildlife Authority, National Forest Authority, and others, including the fisheries, to protect the environment. And because of that, we thought that this can not only be done based on an haphazard manner. So we chose to put it in policy and a strategy as a ministry. And they selected me to lead a very able team to be able to start formulating this strategy. Now, what does this strategy aim to achieve? Basically is to structure, to have the interventions being structured in nature. We are also required actually by government under the Public Finance Management Act, which requires us to ensure that we submit our interventions every year as part of budgeting and planning. So for that reason, we made sure that we want to formalize this, although we have already been doing these activities. So we are doing that so that we develop a strategy that guides our implementation of the interventions that we have come up with. We have already done a lot of them. For us in the UPDF, we have moved from using firewood for cooking, although you may find some few people still using it, but mostly we have moved from training schools to firewood to using energy stoves, gas. We have also moved from using physical training, especially where it involves firing big weapons that would cause emissions that may be dangerous to society, to using what we call simulators technology. So you have a small place that you train a lot of people, and the impact on the environment is really not there. We know the environment affects us as much as we affect the environment, but without keeping the environment, we cannot manage. The Ministry wants this strategy, the UPDF, to ensure that we develop a military that is aware of the threat caused by environmental degradation, that is aware of climate change, and therefore all interventions that we do must first look at the effects that it would have on the environment. And in that way, we shall be able to achieve, to keep the world that when we live, our children and our children's children have a good future and a clean environment in which to live.
Thank you very much. Makerere University and Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs have a very strong relationship or collaboration, or even call it a partnership, along some sort of common or shared goals that relate to the development aspirations of this country. We realize that for Uganda to develop at the desired rate, as stipulated in all policy documents, whether it's Vision 2040 with its attendant national development plans, you need first of all to have stability, which is a mandate that lies with Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. Those strategic documents also acknowledge that for the country to grow very well, you need knowledge, you need innovations, you need human capital. That's the domain, that's the business of Makerere University. So over time, there has been that realization that the two institutions have to work together on those two aspects, but anchored at the higher level, higher strategic level for the country. Over a period of time, we have actualized this through a range of things. There has been research, but most importantly, a lot of training and capacity development. As Makerere University, we train broadly. Every year we output around 14,000 graduates. But more specifically, we have also developed programs that are specific to the needs of UPDF, to the needs of the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. We are extremely happy about this partnership, and we look forward to accelerating it further. It's a very good opportunity, and for us from academia, we appreciate the UPDF and the ministry getting to the time where they realize that these issues of environment and climate change ought to be addressed at a strategic level, developing all those tenets that are required in order to not only develop the strategy, but to also make sure that it is operationalized. So with that, you need a lot of components that should fit in the strategy. We've had a closer look, and it's looking good, but more importantly, the aspect, the consultative aspect, to also pick from different actors that can help the UPDF in making sure that this is a living document. You're developing something that can really be operationalized into a reality. Once that is done, then we foresee a situation, the foresight, bringing that situation where there is going to be a greater contribution by an ecosystem of actors to address environmental issues in the country, to address climate issues in the country. And once that is done, bearing in mind that our development is strongly linked to environment and natural resources, then we see a possibility of increasing our development rate.